Hello everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel, Craft with Barbara Drake. And today I'm going to be making a card using the stamp set on the Horizon. And I'm going to use the Ornate Layers die. These are still available in the annual catalog on page 164. Beautiful dies. And the materials that you're going to need, or what I'm using, I used Blackberry Bliss for the A2 size base. So you take your 8.5 by 11 sheet of paper, cut it in half, and score it at 4 1/4, and that gives you your A2 size card. Your basic white 4 by 5 1/4. This will be for the inside piece here. I used Old Olive, and I used the biggest die here in the Ornate Layers. This one here on the outside, and it comes out like that. And then another piece of Blackberry Bliss, 4 3/4 by 3 1/4. And the new Horizons 6 by 6 paper. I'm using the scenery that looks like this one here. I have several cards that I made. I'll show you later in the video of some of the other pieces that I had used. So what I did on this 6 by 6 piece, I cut it in half at 3 inches, and you can use this piece here for another card. So what I would like to do here for this piece, let me get this out of the way, I would like to make this 4 1/2 by 3. So we know this is a 6 by 6. So I'm going to cut off 1/4 of an inch or 1/2 an inch off the bottom here, because I want some of this olive color still in it. And of course I want some of this Blackberry Bliss in it. So I'm going to cut off 1/2 an inch off the bottom. I'll use my trimmer here. Cut off 1/2 an inch. I'm going to go by these markings here. I mean, I could turn it around and have it come out this way and do the half. I think I'll just go to this one here at 1/2 an inch. That still leaves me a little bit of green there in this, and so then I said I need it to be 4 1/2. So come to the 4 1/2, put that down, and then you can see here I still have some of the Blackberry Bliss still in the image there. So the first thing I want to do is put down this cardstock of the Old Olive, and I'm going to use my liquid glue on this. Before I go any farther, after this I need to check my camera and still make sure this is recording. Yep, looks good. So I'm just going to excuse my head if it's in the way here. Just kind of eyeball this. And this glue does give you a little bit of wiggle room that you can move your cardstock if you have to get it lined up correctly. And then once this is down pretty good, now remember, you don't want to get your glue too close to the ornate layer there on the edge, or it'll be coming out the holes there. What I did on the other card that I made, I took a butter knife. You could probably take a X-Acto knife. You can get it started. I can do this after I get my other layers on, which would probably be best. So now what I want to do, I want to adhere this, glue this on here. What I'm trying to do on this ornate layer over here is just to lift that edge up a little bit and kind of fold it towards the center. It just gives it a different kind of a look, so it's not flat. So we're just going to line this up, give that a little bit of a 1/4 of an inch, or not a 1/4, probably 1/8 of an inch around the edge there. Okay. Now before I go any farther, I want to do some stamping. This is our inside piece. That can go last. I want to take the trees and a piece of scrap paper, and I'm going to use Evening Evergreen. And stamp the trees. Practice. Here, as you can see, I'm going to, well, I should not, I should have stamped first. Let's throw this here. Probably is not going to show up on that Blackberry Bliss anyway, but just in case. Just going to come over here like that. Get another one in here. And I think that's going to be it for the trees. I want to stamp, clean my stamp off here. I'm going to put the birds. Now you want to make sure you have your birds going in the right direction, and sometimes it's hard to tell. So I look at the picture first. Okay, I think it's like this. Yeah, because there's your two birds there. So I didn't get my memento out. I was having an issue. Alright. I think this will fit all in there without having to cover the sides up. So you'll want to do your stamping before you attach it to your layer there. There we go with the birds. And the stamp off. And then what I want to do is I'm going to pop dot this up. Gives it a little dimension there. If I can find my dimensionals. Got a new pack here. I ordered some of the foam adhesive, so that way I don't have to use so many of the dimensionals. That way you can just cut your foam adhesive, be one flat piece. Instead of having to use all of these. Alright. Always make sure your card is going in the right direction before you attach anything. I'm sure as a card maker it has happened to you at least once. I know it has for me. Oh, I'm sorry, I gotta get my head back into the camera again. Excuse my gray hair. That looks pretty good. Now for the sentiment, here's what I did. I am using the stamp set Peaceful Moments because I need a birthday card. So I'm using this happy birthday stamp out of here. There we go. And I'm not going to throw this piece away, and I'll show you why. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to use this piece of, I'm going to use the Blackberry Bliss again. Practice over here. Kind of light. May need to re-ink this. Come over to the side here. Now, instead of, it's tight, instead of going through my dies or my punches to see which ones I have that are current to see if it would fit, I am just going to use this piece here that was on the back of the stamp, these pieces here, excuse me, and I'm going to use this as a base to cover this up, and then I'm going to just fussy cut it out. I can see, I don't know if you can see this or not, but I can see a little bit of the happy birthday under that. Now these things are slippery, so you really have to hold it down here. And you don't have to use this piece here. You could just fussy cut it and kind of just guesstimate, go around it. It's going to be it's not symmetrical by any means. I call it wonky. So I got a little wonky sentiment. Then I'm just gonna cut it out. Doesn't have to be perfect, and if you don't cut it exactly on the line there, or if you get some of the pencil inside, then you just go ahead and erase it. I'm not good at fussy cutting, I know that. Some people can do this with no problem. And we just come up like that, and then we're done. And let me see real close. I don't think there's pencil mark on that. Probably the ink. And now I'm going to take my dauber. Oh, that's what happens when you go to touch it. It's smeared. Okay. Take two. Cut this piece off here. That's what happened. The ink transferred onto this. So you know what you probably could do is just trace this out on paper. You could probably throw some clear embossing powder on it. Well, if this inks up again, I'm just gonna cut it out wonky myself. Let's see. A little bit on there. Usually that ink dries pretty fast. There. There we go. So instead of doing what I showed earlier, I think I'm just going to cut it wonky. Cut it wonky myself. There. That's going to have to do. Throw these pieces away. Get them off the thing here. I would have liked that in Blackberry Bliss, and that would have worked. I probably just needed to give it a little bit more time to set in. And I probably shouldn't do this, but I am. I'll take my Blackberry Bliss and my sponge dauber and just go around the edge a little bit just to give it some color. Okay, now I'm just going to pop dot this up here, if I can pick it up. Looks pretty straight. And then for the inside piece, I am just going to stamp along the bottom the grass type weeds, whatever the flowers in the stamp set there. And I think I'm going to use Old Olive for that. Just so the inside has a little bit of, instead of being plain, just a little design there. Just put this down here at the bottom. And then I then put whatever I want right on the inside. And then I would just put that down like that. So there's your card. Other than the sentiment taken 5 minutes. It's a quick card. Those backgrounds are already, you know, pre-made, so there you have it. So the other cards that I had made were this one here. This is a snack baggie that I had to put it in. This card here is a 6 1/4 by 3 1/4 wide. So when I was telling you you can save this piece here for another card, it's exactly what you need right there for that size here. So what I did down here at the bottom, I used Tasteful Textile. I ran it with the embossing folder. I just wanted to give it a little bit of, I don't know, a 3D effect type of thing instead of just being flat down on the paper, and use the trees. And there. It's a nice size. It'll fit in your regular envelopes. You know, you want to sell, or you know, your invoices. If you have a bill to pay, it fits in there perfect. It's like a little mini slimline. So that was this card. And then I made, I had it right here in front of me. Oh, I covered it up. This was another one I used using the Ornate layers. I just changed the colors around. I used Calypso Coral Evening Evergreen. And I used the With Deepest Sympathy for the peaceful moments. I used that stamp right there. And let's see, this one here, I like the cardstock so much that I hated to cut it. Here's the cardstock there. I wanted to use as much of it as possible this way, you know, the long ways. So as you can see, what I did, I used the dies from the On the Horizon dies. I used the gate, the Horizon dies here. I used the gate, the little houses up there, and I put them through the embossing folder. I used bark embossing folder. Hair in my mouth. And then I just took a white, actually I used a white pencil and just put the little lines on there like that. And then for the gate here, if you take the stamp, this stamp here, stamped it out in I believe it was crumb cake, and then you take your die and put it on top of this piece here. After you die cut it out, you put this on top of that, and it kind of gives that those little lines in the fence. And then I just darkened it up, I think with some not soft suede maybe, and then I took the white pencil and went over that again, and there you go. Oh, and I did the same thing with the houses. I cut the houses out, and then I just went over it with the probably early espresso on those for that. It's a big card. It's smaller than a 5 by 7, so what size is it exactly? It's a 5 by 6 1/4, so it will fit in your 5 by 7 envelopes. That's what I did on that one. And then this one here, I wasn't choked up with it, but I went with it. It's, I don't know what you call these, a Z fold or something. It's just your A2 size card here. Fold this back. It's actually 2 1/8, so you have it like that. And what I did, I took one of the 6 by 6 papers in there, cut it down to I don't think I wrote this stuff down. And same thing with the gate. I ran this part of it through the embossing folder, Evergreen Forest. I ran it through like that, and then I just put those two pieces there on the end. So then I took this piece here of the cardstock, and I cut it down to fit in there. So what I had to do up in here, because this was more like peach, I ended up cutting that out. Maybe it was on that side. And then using the blue on the reverse side of it. So it's kind of like pieced together like a puzzle up in here. And you can probably see that line up in there. I put some birds up in there, but I thought, you know, what I will do is probably, I mean, you can use this as a birthday card. I will probably put it right down in there. So you could set this down, and it almost looks like at a distance, you know, like a 3D effect. I was just so on that card, but I didn't want to throw it away, so I thought, what can I do with it? So those are the cards that I made using the On the Horizon stamp set, along with Peaceful Moments. I will have all this listed below the video of everything that I used, and those are my cards. I hope you enjoyed it. Thank you very much. Till next time.